Hey, lovely people. How are you all doing? Today, I thought I would talk about pricing. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I have a rather fabulous course coming up, which I think you're going to love. So I'll explain a bit more about that a little bit later on. But pricing is key to your dance school, your dance business, potentially not breaking even, just about breaking even, or making a nice, tidy little profit. And here's the thing. Very often, the prices that we set in our dance school are prices that we think in our mind is what our parents will pay. Like we have a mindset around pricing and what we charge for our services that is very personal and private to us. And we tend to set those prices accordingly. Now, the thing is, what I have discovered is that very often the price that you think you should be charging is not actually the expectation and the prices that your customers think they should be paying. But let's face it, when was the last time one of your parents or one of your students turned around to you and said, "Oh my goodness, Deborah, your fees are so cheap. Like, please let me pay you some more money." Clearly, that's not ever going to happen. If you've got your pricing wrong, if you are undercharging, like by heaps or even just a little bit, and your parents know it, they are simply going to be rubbing their hands together and smiling and thinking that they've hit the jackpot. So what I do in my course is I get you to do a whole bunch of due diligence and research so that you can find out what it is that parents are actually expecting to pay. Because I let you into a little secret. 9 times out of 10, they're actually expecting to pay more than what you're currently charging. Now, if that is the case, say, for example, you're charging £5 for a class and parents' expectations is that it's going to be 6 or maybe even 7 or £8 for a class, then what we want to do is start to bridge that gap. Why would we leave £2 or £3 per student per class on the table? Like when I do this course with people, it really unlocks a huge amount of money that people could have been making that they aren't making due to the mindset that we have and the prices that we think we should charge. And this is very exciting for me. From the last couple of years of running this course and also doing this individually with my one-to-one clients, we have unlocked not hundreds of pounds, but thousands and thousands of pounds. And this obviously depends on the size of your school. But for example, one of my lovely clients had a school with about 250 children in it doing multiple classes. We repriced her structure. So we repriced her classes. We restructured her timetable slightly, not a lot. We changed some of her programs around, and she sat and did the numbers, the new numbers based on the work that we did together. She worked out that if she followed my instructions and implemented the pricing changes that I had suggested, she would be earning an extra £20,000 a year. And what I do is I don't just leave it there. I don't just look at this year, but we also put a plan in place for the following year and the year after that. So we kind of build out a 3-year plan to really maximize the pricing of our classes, not so that we're super, super expensive, but just so that we're earning what we deserve. So £20,000, like who wouldn't love an extra 20,000? And I think, because what I get everyone to do at the end of my course is work out in 3 years' time, what is it that you're going to be earning? And of course, this is based on not attracting a single extra student. This is just based on the current students. What will you be earning in 3 years' time if you change your pricing, tweak it a little bit, not necessarily by a lot, and the results are quite astounding. And when people can see what the results can be, it really helps to motivate them to kind of look at the current pricing and potentially make some changes. But the other thing that I'd love to ask you is, how much time do you spend in actually collecting your fees, like the admin side, processing that fee collection? Now, it might be that you currently pay somebody else to do this, or maybe you do it yourself. But unless you are running a direct debit system that's all automated, the chances are most weeks you're spending time chasing fees or checking your bank balance or entering that fees have been paid into a spreadsheet or into some dance school software. You're sending out invoices every term. Like, I've been there. I've done that for years. And by golly, was it the thing that I loved? No. It was probably the least enjoyable element, the least enjoyable hat that I had to wear being a dance school principal. None of us want to sit and write emails to parents that make us feel uncomfortable because they still haven't paid and you're in week 6 or week 7, or maybe even you've got people that still owe you fees from the previous term. We really need to take a grip of this. And so in putting in place a process where we can automate this, we are far more likely to get that lovely, beautiful, regular cash flow coming in, so that you're no longer getting to the end of a term. Like, oh my gosh, I remember getting to the end. For me here in the UK, we break for the summer at the end of July until September. And I remember getting sort of to mid-July and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get any more income, any more fees come in now until the first or second week in September. So there was this huge gap where there was no money, literally zero coming in. And of course, I hadn't done the sensible thing and budgeted for that. I hadn't put away a little bit every month to kind of take care of those quieter months. I should have done, I know, but the fact was I didn't. So I thought I would just share with you guys today the planners that I have produced for dance school owners, because these are flying out of Amazon like hotcakes. And if you don't have yours yet, then all you have to do is pop to Amazon and type into the search Deborah Laws, and all 3 books will come up. So the ultimate dance business planner I designed for you so that you had a little bit of a Deborah on your desktop. The planners are full of business training, tips, motivational quotes, things to do at the start of the month, things to do at the end of the month, ways in which you can plan out your marketing and your retention, and they are selling all over the world. So go to Amazon, grab your #1 best-selling Ultimate Dance Business Planner, and enjoy mapping out the growth for your studio. And so, the summer became a horrendous struggle. And so with this new way that a lot of dance schools are moving to, which is this automated direct debit system, it takes care of that. Like every single month, January to December, the same amount was landing in my bank. And I know that there are a lot of questions around, well, how on earth does that work? Like, how do you get parents to pay in the holidays when they're not having classes? What if a child stops a class? How do you then deal with the direct debit? All of these questions are what I answer in the little course that I run. So there is no stone left unturned. It's full of videos and it's full of workbooks and spreadsheets and email swipe files. I literally do it all for you, other than you having to, do a little bit of work to make it personal to you. And just to make it a little bit easier, I have some backup support calls that I do on this course. So every other week, there's a live Q&A session with me, so that if there are any questions, you can jump in and ask me. So these modules for this course are not released all in one go. They're released every 2 weeks. So we really do the work for that module. We have the discussions. I help you through that module, and then we go on to the next one. But this podcast episode is not about me selling the course. It's really it's really about me just getting you to have a think about your pricing and your mindset around that. And we have, some incredible pre-programmed mindset around what we're worth, what we think people will pay. And very often this comes from our upbringing. If you had parents that were very cautious around money, they were very careful around how they spent it. Maybe you had things told to you as a child like, hey, money doesn't grow on trees, and, we're not a charity, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you had parents that were quite easygoing with money. They didn't mind splashing their money around. And you heard things like, oh, don't worry, there's more from where that came from. All these things soak into our soul. we learn these behaviors around money. It's called money mindset. And these are all things that then very often affect the way that we run our business. If you look back to one of the first episodes that I recorded for the podcast, there's a fabulous episode with a lady called Leslie Thomas, and it's all about the money mindset. So if you're interested, do go back and have a little listen to that interview that I did with her. But keeping this around pricing today, so many of my members, so many of the ladies that I coach in my coaching programs are undercharging. And when I say to them, I really think you could charge a little bit more, like that's super cheap, they say to me, oh yes, but we're not in a very affluent area, or my parents just wouldn't pay more than that. I know they wouldn't. The thing is, we're telling ourselves that they wouldn't, or we're basing on one or two or half a dozen parents that maybe struggle and would find it really difficult. But that doesn't mean to say that the vast majority would. And so we tend to think about those few parents that might complain, or those couple of parents that might even leave. And we let just those two people affect the whole business, like the decisions that we would make for the whole school, because we know Mrs. Smith is going to kick up a fuss if we were to put the fees up. And that's really ridiculous, isn't it? Because, isn't it better that we potentially, and I don't want you to lose a student, but isn't it better that we lose one student and we have 99 others paying a little bit more that are quite happy, than we keep that one parent happy? So sometimes I think we really do need to look at the bigger picture. And that's why I encourage you to do your market research and look at what are parents paying, not just at other dance schools, but also in other children's activities. So do have a little look at what they pay for judo. What do they pay for their swimming classes, or their horse riding lessons, or their piano classes? Like, parents are used to paying those fees, so they're expecting to pay that for your dance classes too. And when you discover that parents are paying £8 a class for a half-hour lesson, and you're charging £5 for an hour lesson, that's that gap that I was talking about earlier on. And that's the gap that we need to move you into. That's where the money is sitting that could be yours. So do check out my Pricing Perfection course. I'm going to put the link to it in the show notes, because I think, take a little look at it. There's some real gold that happens in that course. And I even offer a money back guarantee. So if you do the course, implement all of the things that I suggest, and you don't earn back the money that the course costs, I'll give you that money back. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. Think about your pricing, my lovelies. If you're interested in sorting it out once and for all, then dive in with me. I can't wait to work with this year's members that are going to do this course, because I want you guys to be earning as much money as we can. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all soon. Are you looking to get precious time back in your life so you can make more time doing the things you love? DanceBiz is a class management and booking software from the lovely folk at Think Smart that will automate and streamline all your dance school admin. It's the perfect tool for all those tasks that just seem to take so long and will help you to work smarter, not harder. Message me today, folks, and I can give you a code so you can get 2 months free.